It is
I hope my
visible, ma'am.
screen
Ma'am,
is. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay. So, I welcome you all to the presentation. Just to give a brief definition of why agriculture and agrobiodiversity is important in the Himalayan ranges. We know that people in the Himalayas have been dependent on these crops, have been dependent on agrobiodiversity from time immemorial. People have been dependent on millets that are grown in these areas, for example, finger millets and everything. If I talk about in my common language that is there, I also belong to the Himalayan ranges of Pauri, Garhwal, Unni, and we have seen our elders eating jangora. We have seen them eating mandua. So mandua is basically your finger millet, and people depend on it a lot over there. Jangora is one of the millets that is considered to as an alternate of rice, and people eat eat that kind of food over there. Um, Right now, there are a lot of challenges that we have seen in this particular arena of agrobiodiversity while I was working in this area, and also whenever I get a chance to go back to my own area. So, agriculture basically forms the backbone of that area because we know that accessibility is right now the roads are there, but yes, some of the villages are still inaccessible. Like my highest altitude zone where I work is Rashi Gundar area, which is the epitome of Mad Maheshwar trek. So Mad Maheshwar trek is considered one of the Panch Kedars, and Rashi Gundar area is one of the places that is over there. And what we observed over there is that the tourism had overtaken, and there was a sudden decline in the traditional cropping patterns. So this is something that I'll discuss later on. But just to tell you the importance of agriculture, that people are completely dependent on agriculture. Hybrid seeds have come now, but yes, this tradition of passing on seeds from one generation to another is commonly seen in all the villages of Uttarakhand. And the areas that are exposed to modern markets now or modern towns now have replaced this culture by hybrid seeds, which is a big question mark for the traditional seed varieties. But definitely, we have seen this kind of cultural practice that is there in the Himalayan areas. So agrobiodiversity, basically what it refers to is the traditional seed varieties that are grown in this particular area. When I went in one of the villages along the Kedarnath area, which is known as Narayan Koti village, if you ever seldom go to this Kedarnath valley, you will find out this village Narayan Koti over there. It has one of the biggest Navgraha temples also over there. So what I found over there is that people, because I had a questionnaire survey also in my study. So what we found out that there were three varieties of rice that were grown before, but now they say that there is only a single variety of rice that is being grown. And what she said is three generations before, they had four, five varieties of rice that were being cultivated over there. One of the most common varieties that we used to find over there was lal dhan, that is red colored rice. There was rain-fed rice, and there was rice that was grown in off seasons also. So she said we had a lot of diversity of traditional rices, but with time, all of these varieties have gone. So agrobiodiversity basically refers to overall what insects are helping in it, which animals are helping in it, what is going on in the agricultural services and everything, and the pollinators that are helping out that area. So all of this comes under the field of agro and biodiversity. Um, to give you the major crops that are grown in this area of Himalayas, we have seen fruits and vegetables that are grown. Then millets are being grown. Major rice crops are being grown over there. We have seen a lot of off-season varieties also in areas which are very cold, like Joshimath area. We have seen people growing off-season varieties of vegetables under polyhouse conditions also. So definitely these are some introduced things as an alternate or a subsidiary agricultural service. They're also growing the livelihood practice of mushroom cultivation has also come up and thronged in this area. So these are certain changes that we have seen in this area through the years. I'll be mainly concentrating on the Indian Himalayan zone and the Indian Himalayan region. The Indian Himalayan region basically goes on from the northern side to the eastern side, and the entire belt covers almost 167 cultivated species, out of which we have seen almost 300 relative croplands. The challenges that we always see in the Himalayan zone is that people have got a lot of cultivation, people grow a lot of food, but the market accessibility is a big question mark for them. So where do they sell their product? Where do they sell it in the market? I was I was in one of the previous slide talking about this village called Naira in Koti. If you ever get a chance to go to that village, they produce ample amount of vegetables. But the problem is that they just have accessibility to the local market only, the local market of Guptakashi. So this is the only place that they can send it to, because what they tell us is that if they have to send it to a place called Dehradun, which is the capital of Uttarakhand, if they have to send it over here, then it costs them around 10,000 of transportation charges only. So they save that amount and they sell it at a lower price in their own local market. So you can imagine that just because of this non-accessibility and transportation problems, they have to sell their products at a lower price. So this is something that we have seen in the Himalayan zone. Also, in certain places there's lack of infrastructure. So I've also seen people carrying the load on their head and then sending it off to the markets. Then the pricing, there is a variability in pricing. For example, you're getting that same product at some other price in the town. Absolutely, uh, zero profits are seen in the places like Rudraprayag. You will people don't sell it at a very high profit prices. So these are certain basic challenges that the Himalayan areas have because of the location and the accessibility problems, and this entire Himalayan belt. Now, what are the objectives and the goals of agrobiodiversity? Why do we need agrobiodiversity? What is the need of agrobiodiversity? And why should we concentrate on it? Now, the first thing is resilience. Um, if I talk about in general terms of resilience, if we eat a certain type of food for a longer period of duration, then that food could be good in one vitamin or some other kind of protein source or whatever. In Uttarakhand, we have a practice called as Baranaja practice. It is a traditional practice that has been followed from generations. So Baranaja is Bara means 12 and Naja means crops. So people from generations, though this practice has diminished over the course of period, but people from generations have gone on this practice wherein 12 type of crops are grown in a field. So there are terrace farms, they will grow 12 type of crops. What it ensures is number one is food security. So, for example, by any case of climate change, any kind of weather conditions, one of your crop fails, there are 11 other crops that are serving you. They will not grow the same type of crops in this Baranaja practice. They'll go, they will grow some oil seeds, they'll grow some grains, they will grow some other vitamin sources, they will grow different so that it gives you different kind of food varieties. So this is the kind of resilience that is built up by the practice over there. Sustainability. Now, sustainable cropping system is one of the common practices of Indian agricultural system also, wherein sustainability is ensured. Uh, Sustainability means growing food that is that is enough for us. So that is sustainability. So uh, practicing of agriculture in this area ensures a lot of food security for these people because they don't have to create a dependency. They always have sustainable amount of food resources with them. Improving nutrition. In these areas, people will go green leafy vegetables also. People will rely on a lot of millets also. So this helps to give them a lot of nutrition naturally. So you don't have to take any nutrition enhancers or any other products to, increase your nutrition or enhance your nutrition. People already have those resources with them and they already know the benefits of those resources. Support livelihood. A lot of people in Rudraprayag sell out mandwa, that is finger millet over there, and they actually in some of the NGOs that are there in this particular town now, they have started telling the people to create products like pastries, to create products like biscuits out of that finger millets, and it's very common to see that now in areas like Dehradun, wherein in some agricultural fairs you will find these NGOs selling all these products which are made in the villages. So now these products with value addition have also started supporting the livelihood of the people over there, and which is a great transition that has come up. But yes, I would definitely agree to say that this transition is only visible in the like 40%. 40% visibility is found in this transition. Rest people are still, um, you know, facing challenges of how to sell their products at a higher price and get some livelihood benefits. So definitely it is supporting a lot of livelihood in this area. Preservation of culture. See, Baranaja practice is a cultural practice. This is a cultural practice of Uttarakhand, wherein there are two sects living over here, which are Gadwalis and Kumaunis, and this is a cultural practice that has been practiced by a lot of people in this area. So this is preservation of our culture, of this practice. Mitigate risk. Now, mitigate risk is if you grow these agrobiodiversity crop, growing of different type of crop also mitigates the risk like the recent challenges of climate change. In the Himalayan ranges, we have seen a lot of changes in the rainfall patterns. We have seen a lot of changes in the snowfall patterns in areas in the upper Himalayan areas. There is less snowfall, sometimes there is excess snowfall, sometimes there is less rainfall, sometimes there's more rainfall, sometimes the rainfall in the rain shadow areas also where it never used to rain and now it rains over there and does not snow. So these kind of changes are very inevitable in the Himalayan ranges, and we are seeing them uh, through 3 to 4 years. And to mitigate such risk, climate smart agricultural practices are required. So these climate smart agricultural practices need to be told, awareness need to be created with the risk that are posed by these changes. And what we have also seen through these changes is natural disasters like landslides because of the highway constructions, because of the immense amount of development that is being done in some of the areas of Himalayas is posing a threat to all of these things. Uh, I will give you practical examples only of what I've worked on and not tell you anything virtual or theoretical. In Rudraprayag district only, where I am working right now, the tourism has taken a boom, like in the recent 3 to 4 years. If I ever plan to go out there during the tourism season and used to do my study, there used to be so much of crowd, so much of littering, so much of construction going on. Everybody wants to construct a homestay, everybody wants to construct a restaurant because this is something that gets them more money. So these changes are happening and people need to be told that agrobiodiversity is their backbone. They cannot rely on food from outside, they have to grow it. So these kind of risks are going to be there in future, and people have to be uh, they have to be made aware of the fact that if they stop growing food, then somewhere down the line they'll have to shift from the Himalayas. You just cannot out of nowhere grow food every time. There has to be a certain cycle and a pattern followed, and it doesn't has to be stopped. So these are certain risks that we had seen. uh, Also the challenges that are there in the upper Himalayan areas is number one is land degradation. In the second part of my study, I was working on land use and land LULC, that is land use land change patterns. Why I wanted to work on it is my area was Mandakini Valley, and I concentrated on the Mandakini Valley. So Mandakini is the river that originates from Chorabari Glacier. Chorabari Glacier is very famous from the Kedarnath cloudburst that happened in the Chorabari Glacier, and that entire glacier bursted and the water just flooded the entire areas, and there were a lot of deaths and devastation at that point of time. This is a regular cycle in the Mandakini Valley. The Rudraprayag Valley is very, very sensitive zone. There are a lot of landslides. If there are not landslides in one of the villages near Ukhimat, so Ukhimat is the winter capital of Kedarnath god. Ukhimat, there is a village, there was Dangwari, Mangoli villages. What I found out after talking to those people was that if there was not a major land disaster or a major natural disaster, there used to be lightning, and because of that lightning there used to be a fire, and that fire used to burn down those crops. So these are little things. So that valley is very sensitive and the land degradation there is very high, and this is something that you will now see because of the development that is taking place of the highways. So all weather roads and everything that is being constructed, that has a positive aspect, but definitely on the ecosystem there is also a negative aspect because of the shivering of these mountain ecosystems now, and these mountains now are drifting Shifting and landslides are being caused. Second is pesticide overuse. Though most of the people in the Himalayan ranges are into organic farming, but I would definitely say that Uttarakhand comprises of two zones. One is the plain area and one is the hilly area. So some part of the hilly area definitely is into use of pesticides. Pesticides causes two things. There can be two factors that are caused by pesticides. Number one factor is use of chemicals alternates the pollinator movement. So pollinators basically what do they do is pollinators basically cultivate our the cross pollination and everything is done by pollinators. There's a lot of bee dependency in apple farming in some of the areas in Rudraprayag, in some of the areas in Uttarkashi also. If you have ever heard of Harsal Valley, where the recent Dharali disaster took place because of the cloud burst, and that Harsal belt is also very much inclusive to apple cultivation. So these areas are highly dependent on bees. In certain times of the season, they are using pesticide, and this pesticide overuse is causing an alternation in the pollinator habit. So this is one of the major challenge that is taking place now because people have accessibility to the town markets and they're getting uh, pesticides from there and then they're applying it over there. So awareness needs to be created in regards to this because what they can sell out on the tag of organic farming is has higher pricing than what they do on the pesticide use. Then there is market pressure. So in regards to the market pressures, sometimes there are people who will take the products from these villagers at a very low price and then sell them off at a very high price. Also, uh, sometimes they do panic selling also. So in the panic selling, what do they do is they will just sell out their products, all of the products. So these kind of market pressures intervene in the kind of pricing that they're getting. So this is the market pressures that is a challenge for them while they go on to growing agricultural crops. Climate change, as I've already spoken in the previous slide also, is causing a lot of deterrence. What people used to tell us that in in Uttarkashi, if you've heard of, Uttarkashi is one of the districts, another districts in Uttarakhand. This district is also being hampered by a lot of snowfall change patterns, wherein certain areas had snowfall, had 2 feet of snow. Now there is only rain that is happening. What happens is when it does not snows properly in the hills, it causes a lot of dryness in the mountains. When a lot of dryness is caused in the mountains, it leads to a lot of forest fires also because some of the ranges, if you've seen in Uttarkashi, are cheat pine areas. So these cheat pine areas get the forest fire really quickly. So these are certain challenges that are being posed in regards to agriculture. People have now started shifting the timings of growing crops. So there's early sowing, there's late sowing according to the rains, there's sowing. So yes, these kind of changes are there, but awareness needs to be created in regards to climate smart agriculture practice. That is one thing I would like to say. Monoculture. Now, monoculture is something, for example, Baranaja practice and monoculture. Baranaja is growing of different type of crops in that one field. Monoculture is growing of just one kind of crop. For example, the entire village is growing rice during Kharif season. The entire village is growing wheat during the Rabi season. The entire village is into horticulture. Horticulture is growing of fruits and vegetables. So this is monoculture. Now we have been seeing monoculture in some of the villages wherein people now are going into cash cropping kind of schemes. So what they're basically doing is they're just not growing the crops that are going to serve them low amount of money. They are picking up crops that are going to give higher amount of returns or the cash crops. So they are getting new varieties of apples. Now, apple was something that was previously grown in areas that had cold climate. Now there are apple varieties that they are introducing into these areas, which can be grown into like semi-tropical conditions also. In one of the villages in Pauri Gadwal, which is at an altitude of I think 1200 meters, we saw one of these apple varieties that was being grown over there because the farmer now realizes that this serves them more money and this gets them better returns. So these kind of monoculture practice is also very evident in these areas. Urban risk. A big we have a Palayan Ayog or a migration a department of migration in Uttarakhand now. Why? Because people, uh, the government, I would not blame the government, but definitely there has been a lot of ignorance in regards to development of the hilly areas. Whatever development has been posed or whatever development has been seen is just in the towns. If you come to Dehradun, you will see just a different world. When we go down into these villages, you'll see a different world. You'll see a different challenge that these Himalayan women have to go through. From morning 4 a.m., picking up their livestock, getting their feed, making food, then going again into the fields, doing agricultural practices for the entire day, then coming back home. All of these things pose a great burden on these Himalayan women, because men generally what they are doing, the trend that now we have seen is, if I talk about the area of Rudraprayag, um, if it's the tourism season, what they will do is they will pick up their horses or their mules and they will go to the Kedarnath Yatra, or they will pick up the dolis wherein these people, uh, like they could sit in the dolly, and then there are four people who will carry them on their shoulders to the temple, or they will open a shop over there or anything like that during the season when the kapats open. When the kapats are closed, what we have seen is they will work in some hotel or do something. So the entire burden comes up on the ladies. Now, there is a lot of awareness about the education factor also for the children. So these are the urban risks that we have seen, that people have started migrating now for better services and better educational opportunities, medical facilities to the these town areas. So we have seen a lot of migration that is happening. Yes, reverse migration is very less, and but urban risks are really high. So this is something that we have seen right now. Now, how to go about it, how to manage sustainability also and agrobiodiversity also. What I feel, the first thing is ecosystem management. There is something called as EIA, so whenever we do a development, so before that, there is an environment impact assessment that is done. I think it should be very, very strictly done in areas where there is a lot of wildlife, there is a lot of sensitive Himalayan zone. If you disturb the mountains, they're going to come down definitely. So there should be very, very strict EIAs that should be done. A lot of community engagement with these development. Whatever development the government is taking up, I think there should be a narrative for the community engagement also. You can definitely involve the communities in it. You can definitely involve their voices in it so that they don't get threatened by your development, because landslides destroy the entire terraces. We know that farming in the hill areas takes place on the terraces. So one landslide, one cloudburst takes away their entire farms, takes away their entire areas, and that are destroyed. And then they have got nothing to rely on. Where does the food come from? So they have to depend on the markets for buying food. That is an extra pressure on them, because what they're depending on is agriculture only. So this is something that people really have to think about, and the government has to really think about. Research initiatives, a lot of research initiatives can be taken up in regards to conservation of traditional seed varieties also. I will talk about a man, Mr. Vijay Jardhari, who is from Tiri Garhwal. He is working on Beej Bachao Andolan. Now, this Beej Bachao Andolan by Mr. Vijay Jardhari ji is a very old practice that he has been doing. So what he has been doing is he has been trying to save the germplasm or the seeds that are the traditional seeds. So he right now in his local seed bank that he has initiated in his own village, you'll find out 4 to 5 seed varieties of rajma. You'll find 3 to 5 seed varieties of pulses. You will see the dal varieties that you've never seen before in the upper Himalayan ranges. So he has been doing that from like almost 10 to 15 years, and he has created this local seed bank. So these kind of research initiatives by other people are also required to generate a seed bank in this area, so that we don't lose our primitive native seed varieties that could be very important for these areas. Millets are something that people used to naturally grow because they used to require less water in the upper Himalayan ranges, because irrigation facilities were not there. So millets were proliferating over there. You did not need to put up extra water in them or extra resources in them. They used to naturally grow. Now people are going into cash crops, which require a lot of water also. So they are not realizing that changing that thing will pose another challenge to them. They are not ready for the challenge. They are just thinking about the economy and the money only. So these are certain research initiatives, these are certain awarenesses that can be created in this area. Then consumer awareness. in regards to consumer awareness, we can make the community aware, or the people who are actually buying from from these people, about serving them some the market prices, giving them market prices, and consuming uh, the healthy products that is available from the Himalayan ranges. So this is some kind of consumer awareness that we can always create. In regards to farm practices, the traditional farming practices that were always there, community needs to be told that these farming practices of doing organic farming are one of the most healthiest practices that the government is also now initiating after the green revolution. And what we find out in Punjab right now, the excess amount of chemicals in the soil and pesticide residues in a lot of places. So these are certain farming practices that people need to be made aware of, that whatever they are doing is very healthy, very good for the soil and in the generations to come. So that builds a sustainability for the generation. So this is something that can be done. There can be certain education programs in regards to agrobiodiversity that can be done by people. I've told you one thing, that there was one generation used to save the seeds, and then it used to pass it on to the another generation. The seeds were viable through the generations. So people can definitely save these seeds and keep the cultural diversity of their particular area intact. This is the SWOT analysis. In the SWOT analysis, I'll discuss four things: the strength, weakness, opportunities, and the threats that are present in regards to agrobiodiversity. Now, in regards to the strength, the diversity that is over there, it has immense nutrition potential, it has immense soil health potential. If you do not grow these crops, certain crops are naturally nitrogen fixation, they do natural nitrogen fixation. There are certain crops that bring about a lot of uh, they pulverize the soil a lot, or their residues or the crop residues help to nourish the soil. So they have got immense strength over there. In regards to weakness, if I talk about, there is a limited access to these genetic resources, and people are not really aware of, if they lose the traditional seed varieties, what is going to happen next. So there is a lot of, this is the weakness that I found in the people. If I talk about the opportunities, if we increase the consumer demands, like if we make the people aware about what is the strength and potential of the Himalayan organic products, these people will have a great livelihood, and they will not have to go around places to search for jobs and go for migration. So this is something that we can definitely do for these people and create a lot of awareness for these people. And if this is done, half of the Himalayan problems will be solved. The biggest threat to the Himalayan areas, I believe, right now is climate change. And even if you don't consider climate change, it is also the development, the the blind development that is taking place over there. We are trying to make make these villages into towns, but I think sustainable development could have solved a lot of issues, in the sense that whatever is there with the people, you could have built that up in a better way. So that could have uh, lowered down the threats, but definitely it is now not right now not taking place in the right direction, and it is taking place in a reverse direction. That is what I believe after seeing in some of the districts. Now I'll concentrate on the Indian Himalayan zone. So the the biggest feature of the Indian Himalayan zone, if you see in point number 2, under the conservation of native crops, is ghost villages. Ghost villages are definitely not the villages that have got ghosts inside them, but definitely these are the abandoned villages that are not present now, where people are not present now. So this is what the Himalayan zone is turning right now into, and this is something that we have seen. We have seen a lot of migration. Reverse migration is people going from towns back to the villages, but this is not happening. We have seen the AQI challenges in major cities, but major population of the Gadwal Himalayas right now lives in Delhi. So this is the kind of migration that we are seeing right now. Climate change is another uh, challenge that we have already discussed about. If I talk about the other Himalayan zone, we have got the cold desert areas, which is the Ladakh and the Lahaul Spiti Valley. In the Ladakh and Lahaul Spiti Valley, it is a completely cold desert area. So certain crops are grown in these areas, but yes, there are a lot of challenges to grow in these areas. But a high reliability of people in the Ladakh area also. I was working with one of the organizations in Ladakh for a period of 1 to 2 months, and they were growing some off-season vegetables under polyhouse conditions, wherein they had these big greenhouse chambers made of glass, for for generation of heat, and there they were growing Chinese cabbage. One of the significant and it was an eye opener for me 3 years back, that I could actually see certain insect and pest varieties that are there in the town areas, which are now present in Ladakh also. Ladakh is a place which is supposed to be a cold desert, and I don't think pest problems were supposed to be there. But now, if you see some of the Lepidoptera is an order in entomology. So it basically comprises of these wriggling insects. And these kind of insects like miners, all of these insects I could see in Ladakh also. So yes, climate change definitely is doing a lot of change in regards to pest attacks also. So this is something that I saw in Ladakh. If I talk about the Western Himalayan ranges, the major ranges of Western Himalayas comprises of Jammu Kashmir, Himachal, and Uttarakhand, and the Eastern Himalayan ranges comprises of Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, and areas of Darjeeling and Assam. So this is the entire Himalayan zone that is comprised of almost 2,500 kilometers in India, and a lot of crop diversity is present in this area, which we are completely unaware of. Some of the crop varieties are not even documented. So these are certain these. This is the, you can say, um, the amount of potential that this particular area has if it is studied under the agrobiodiversity study. This is something that I wanted to discuss in this slide. The key dimensions of agrobiodiversity used in farming sectors. So there are four factors in this. One is genetic resources. These genetic resources that could, if developed under the agrobiodiversity sector, we could help in creating gene banks. These gene banks could be used for later generations. If there is a challenge, like if there is less amount of water, millet gene bank could be used at that point of time, or any other pulses could be used at that point of time. In the abiotic factors, we could also it could include soil, it could include temperature, and all of these conditions. Under the components of agrobiodiversity, basically it involves the pollinators, the pest control, the kind of chemicals that are being used in the soil, the kind of other enhancers, soil enhancers or fertilizers or any urea or any other component that you are using to enhance the soil. Then there are socio-economic and cultural dimensions. If I talk about the socio-economic and cultural dimensions, then it is about the Baranaja practice and other practices, traditional practices that are being followed in this area. So these are the key dimensions of agrobiodiversity. The key elements of agrobiodiversity with regard to spatial and temporal variations. Now, there are three factors in this. One is spatial variation and one is temporal variation. Now, if I talk about the spatial variations, we have classified this further into three parts, that is natural environment, modified environment, and related development issues. This is the potential that I'm talking about, how we can actually enhance that particular area into uh, a better production zone. Biophysical diversity. If we can if we can work on things like soil, if we can work on enhancing or making the people aware about increasing the soil quality, then definitely we can have a better potential. In regards to organizational diversity, there are a lot of resources that people can be endowed with, and then like market resources, like financial resources, like creating a supply chain for them. These are kind of the organizational diversity that we can do over there. Management diversity, there are certain NGOs that tell them about value addition. So what we can really do is we can introduce a lot of other techniques or other ways wherein adoption and innovation can be done by these people of value addition, and they can modify their products and sell it at a better price. In regards to agrobiodiversity, if we talk about agrobiodiversity in regards to production, all of these factors will definitely help to increase the production. The development issues, the last line, which regards to the development issues, in regards to demography, migration is one of the biggest factor. All of these things, if organized, all of these people, if livelihood are improved, if sustainability is improved, can definitely help in stopping the migration of this area. These people are right now a part of microeconomy, but they can definitely become the part of macroeconomy also. They can become the part of macroeconomy if we start improving their livelihood. It's not that the government is not intervening with subsidies. I I know people in my village who have already taken subsidies where government is giving 30% subsidy, 40% subsidy for growing mushroom cultivation, for doing horticulture cultivation, for doing polyhouse cultivation. But then you have to motivate these people for doing these things. Half of the people don't even know what the government is doing, or half of the people don't have awareness only of the relative schemes that the government has started. So this is some kind of awareness that has to be created. Livelihood. One of the biggest thing I would like to discuss over here is about food security. In Himalayan ranges, nobody dies hungry or nobody lives hungry. If one villager is hungry or if one villager does not have food, there will be 13 more villagers who will be bringing out food to this particular village. So food security is never a problem over there, but definitely food security can be a big problem if people stop doing agriculture. Then it will be a big problem. So in the temporal variations, uh, one of the major factors is climate variability. The climate variability has definitely posed a lot of problems. What problems we have seen in this climate variability is things like landslides coming up. We have things like a lot of you know shifts in the we saw a major shift in Mandakini course, wherein the Mandakini shifted its entire course during the cloudburst that took place in the Kedarnath Valley. So these kind of changes are completely visible now. If you are bringing down an entire mountain by blasting, and there is a stream that is flowing out from there, or there is a major river course that is flowing out from there, it will change it. So these are not just climatic variability, also there are certain factors of development also that are coming inside this temporal variation. Now the pillars for measuring agrobiodiversity index. Whenever we do an agrobiodiversity study, we try to measure it. Now, what we tried to do through our study was measuring this agrobiodiversity index through a lot of um, rural involvement. So we used to take down transects. One transect used to be of 1 kilometers or 2 kilometers, and we used to go down into that village and start studying about that village. Uh, Also, there was a lot of questionnaire survey that we used to take up with people. There was almost a 150 households that were interviewed during our studies. We tried to find out a lot of factors that were there. Uh, so the pillar number one comes here is healthy diets. These agrobiodiversity or these agricultural things that they have been growing ensures a lot of healthy diets and sustainability in agriculture, number two. And not just sustainability, if they keep on growing this, there is a future generation that is secured in the Himalayan ranges. But migration and the you can say the I would not say the greed, because everybody wants better medical facilities which are not there in the Himalayan ranges. Everybody wants better food, wants better education for their children. So these are all these factors that are making them move. So moving means stopping agriculture, and then the agrobiodiversity is in a question mark. This is what is happening over there. So there should be an intervention and it should be stopped. Now, what are the major applications of measuring agrobiodiversity index? In simple language, I would like to tell you, if we measure any agrobiodiversity index, we get three things out of it. One, we get risk assessment. Basically means how much risk is generated in a village, or how much risk are these people into. For example, if I did a risk assessment in this Rudraprayag area, now through the food security or the questionnaire survey, I know that there is a family of five. Three have already migrated to a town. Now two of them are waiting to be migrated. So yes, there one complete household is going to diminish. So these are the kind of risk assessments that we find out through these studies, and they are really required in this area. What is benchmarking? So benchmarking is we compare the performances, or we are not doing a corporate benchmarking over here. We are just trying to compare the amount of production that was there before and the production that is now. Intervention planning. Through the intervention planning, we're basically trying to develop a strategy. Now, what I found after my studies was that people have started moving to tourism. One uh, one mule, when it goes from uh, this area, the Kund area of Kedarnath, it starts from there and it goes to Kedarnath Dham. It charges about 6,000 rupees. And the same amount is charged when it comes down also. So one ride of mule gives them 12,000 rupees, just one ride. If they take 2 rides, it's 12,000. And you can just estimate the yatra goes on for 6 months. So they get ample amount of money through that. So why do they need to do agriculture? So we need to develop a strategy where people also continue doing agriculture and don't stop doing agriculture in the lieu of getting higher amount of money, and they also practice these tourism practice and bringing up their livelihood also. So intervention planning and developing strategy by the government is really important. Otherwise, in the due course of time, wherein tourism is very strong, people will stop agriculture. That is for sure. This is something that I've already discussed in regards to the root causes of agriculture. Now, these are at the end, I would like to discuss about these major things that are there. These kind of news you can find out everywhere. It is marked as 2021, but this is something that you can always see. Migration turned 60 villages into ghost villages in Pithoragarh. Pithoragarh is one of the border villages in Kumaon area. So once the people have migrated, the problems that you will see now is native seeds gone. So the traditional seeds you will not find. Every now and then, right now in Uttarakhand, there is leopard attack, there is bear attack. Definitely, when people are not there, the wildlife takes over. Then the land use pattern changes. If if there is no agriculture, the forests take up. And then when you want to start, there is a reverse migration. People want to start, they have to start from scratch. So this is the land use pattern change. And then there is a lot of loss of traditional crops and traditional agricultural practice like Baranajo also in these areas. So these kind of things. Now, in one of the news, I found out that ghost villages in Uttarakhand will be vibrant again. Government plans to develop homestays. Now, a homestay is an opportunity, or you can always tell people if right now government is also providing subsidy for developing homestays also. So government is trying a lot for people to come back, but homestay is definitely not an option for giving them medical facilities and educational facilities. So has to be a lot of intervention that has to be done by the government in regards to facilities also, so that people come back to the villages. Now, these are all the things that I've attached about the recent. It's 2024. It is in the news. Now, what if you Google down and find out in the news of Garhwal Himalayas, what you will find is human wildlife conflict. There is leopard attack, there is bear attack. The entire Pauri Garhwal area is under bear attack. There are a lot of increased amount of bears over there. So this is something that you will find. Now, at the end of my slides, at the end of my presentation, this is my study area. This was the area that I was studying in. And we basically did an LULC analysis over here, and we tried to find out the changes that were taking place. This was the altitudinal variations that was there in my study, and we tried to find out the agrobiodiversity analysis through it. These are some of the pictures that I want to share of this particular area that I was working in. It is the Madhumaheshwar Valley. It is a beautiful valley, beautiful undisturbed valley. It comprises of a village known as Rashi Gondar village, and this is one of the Panch Kedars. So Shiva originated in 5 different parts. So this was one of the part where he originated. This was Mad Maheshwar Valley. Now, this is the finger millet that is grown by people over there. And everyone has got mules. So mules are used for transportation. Mules are used for uh, carrying their agricultural produce from villages to the towns. And if you can see this little basket over here, this is known as the ringal basket. So this is one of the common types of bamboo that is found over there. So they make ringal baskets and small baskets out of it and sell it out in the market, which is another livelihood source for them. This is one of the villages. This is one of the only Chandra temples that is found in Rashikandar village. This is the image of the entire area. These are how the plantations take place. This is the mandua that is grown over there, the finger millet, and this is done in terraces. But there is a lot of bear attack over here. Bears like to feed on mandua a lot, so there's a lot of human wildlife conflict that we have seen over here. This is the second area that I was working in. Ukhimat is the winter capital of Shiva. So once the kapats or the doors closes of Kedarnath, he is worshipped in Ukhimat. So this is something that you'll find in Ukhimat. And Guptakashi is the village or the area from where the Kedarnath Yatra goes on. This is the Ukhimat temple. These are some of the farmers that are still into agriculture and pulses. A lot of millets are grown by them. So these are certain crops, these are certain millets that are grown by the farmers over there. These are the different rice varieties that you told me that were there, but now they have diminished from 5 to 1. So this is what has happened over there. This is all the pulses that are grown in this area. There are certain changes also we have found. Certain people have done reverse migration. We found one family in a village near Ukimat, wherein this ex army personnel decided to come back to the village and he started doing farming over here. So this is the villager, and he decided to go back into the village, do some poly house, make a poly house, and he also has a chakki over there. So the entire villages comes up to grind their grains in it, and then he gets the money. So these are other income sources that we found which people had in this village. Through the LULC analysis, we tried to do these studies. So this is a completely different aspect that I would not like to talk about in this particular presentation right now. But this is how we found out the changes that were taking place through the 10 years course in agrobiodiversity and LULC patterns. That is the land use, land cover patterns over there. Just one line I would like to mention about it. The major change that we found out over here was due to a lot of disasters that had taken place in Rudraprayag area. A lot of area had been washed off due to maybe cloudburst, lightning, or other kind of developments that have taken place. Because of the construction of highways, a lot of mountain have been blasted and they have completely gone off the map only. So the ones that were present in the times of 2014, when we tried to find them out in the year of 2024, they had diminished, the area had diminished. So this is a change that we found out. So thank you so much. So this was my presentation on agrobiodiversity and its importance in the Himalayan areas, and why the conservation is really important, and it's not a thing of books, and it's actually a major thing in the Himalayas. So thank you so much. If anybody has got any questions, you're most welcome to ask.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for a wonderful presentation.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so
Thank you, ma'am.
much.
Anyone have any doubts?
Thank you,
Or,
ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, ma'am, I have one question out there that I am working for that in Himalayan region in that 2008 to 10 for that Joshi Mutt, that one hydropower project are there for Tapan
Yes, sir.
Isnugal that we have that 2 to 3 years ago that very one natural disaster are there for that cloud busting and that everyone can know that 150 people are dead for that the tunnel that inside the water logging are there.
Yes,
So
sir.
that,
Yes,
ma'am,
sir.
what are the action taken in nowadays that will that area for that Josimat for that in that hydropower projects will take any action are there for this type of thing? This type of natural calamities is not happen again. Anything? Any update, ma'am? That
So,
is
sure, sir. What I would like to say is, before any project is done in the upper Himalayan ranges, there is a procedure called as EIA, which is to be done, which is a mandatory procedure, environmental impact analysis. So EIA is always done, but the projects somehow come up, and this is something that we cannot comment on as researchers, as academicians. This is something that takes place at a bureaucratic level. So what they want always happens. So I guess this is the kind of thing, and this is the kind of trend that is still absolutely prevalent. Right now, the government calls for all weather roads. So the government, irrespective of the fact, because we know that these highways are the passes of wildlife. All of these kakad is deer. So the small deers that you would find out, we call them in common language kakad. These kakads have got their pathways through these roads, and they go down into the river to feed and to have water and all. So all of these pathways are also being disturbed. Everything is being disturbed. I can absolutely remember, I was there in Wildlife Institute of India, and one of our teams at that point of time in the year 2014 went to Kedarnath Valley for a brief survey because helicopter services had to be started in that village, had to be started in Kedarnath. So the EIA was done by, I think, Wildlife Institute of India at that point of time. So a team went over there. We The report that we got out from there was that these particular areas are the pathways of snow leopards. These particular areas are the pathways of blue sheep. These particular areas have got immense amount of wildlife, some of them critically endangered and endangered also. But still, the project somehow came up, and you know that entire valley is now connected to helicopters. The entire Char Dhams are connected to helicopters, and the voices of those helicopters actually deters the animals to come into that area now. So they might have changed their pathways and everything. So whatever you spoke about the project in regards to tunnel going down or anything like that, you know the Joshimath area, recent news you would have seen last year that the entire area, the houses only collapsed because of the hydropower thing that was being done over there. The houses have collapsed. I think the only thing that government is helping them out is in giving them financial assistance, that your house is damaged, so we'll give you this amount of money and you can relocate or reconstruct. This is the only kind of help I guess it's happening. Otherwise, the condition is really questionable in the upper Himalayan ranges.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. So if there's any other question, you can definitely ask in regards to agrobiodiversity or anything. If you're working in that area, definitely you can also share your experience if you've got any experience of the Himalayan ranges, because that builds up my knowledge also of any area in regards to agrobiodiversity. And if not, then sir can just conclude.
Yeah. Okay, ma'am. Okay, there is no any questions from audience side. We can conclude this section. Thank you very much for a wonderful presentation. Thank you one
Thank you
and
so
all for.
much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, sir. Thank you,
Thank
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for patience listening on a Sunday. Thank you so much.